Hi, my name is Veronica Hamilton, and I'm running for recording secretary on the executive board of the UAW 2865, the UC Student Workers Union. I'm a social psychology PhD student, and I study the dehumanization of low-wage workers. I consider my academic work to be synchronistic with my commitment to our union. As a daughter of a union carpenter, as someone who has been a graduate student without union representation at the University System of Maryland, Baltimore, and as someone who is an undergrad at UCSC for the last 2 contract campaigns, I'm committed to labor power. That's why I was devastated in August when members of our union, including bargaining co-chair Allie Carlisle and others on the OSWP slate, pushed through this terrible contract. They pushed through this contract without official bargaining team approval. They pushed it through so quickly that there was no time for any town halls or any other sort of education about the contract. And perhaps most importantly, they pushed it through before the majority of our members were back in session. What happened was unjust and undemocratic, and that's why I sent the first challenge to the ratification vote. And that's also why I support Mary Mussman's appeal, which would allow us to get back to the bargaining table and fight for something better. We need a union that empowers workers to fight for better conditions, not one that tells us that we are weak without 90% membership. Despite the Janus decision, energy around labor organizing is strong. This is not the time to settle shitty contracts. Not only did this contract jeopardize fee and tuition remission for international students, most bargaining team members were unaware of that fact as they pushed for a ratification vote. This contract did nothing to address housing precarity among academic student employees. Like many across the UCs, most UCSC students are paying more than 50% of our income on housing. We needed a housing stipend, or at least a decent pay increase, but what we got was 3%, which barely keeps up with inflation. We can't wait for change. We can't wait for 90% membership or until 2022 for our next bargaining session. We need change now. Like everyone who's running for the executive board, I want to help facilitate worker engagement with the union. The best way to encourage people to join us is by showing that we get the job done. My priorities as executive board member are to make sure we're spending time, energy, and resources addressing the needs of student workers now. That's why I've helped to draft the UCSC housing petition, which demands that UC Santa Cruz reduce the cost of on-campus housing and that they provide a housing stipend for those of us who live off-campus to mitigate the impact of the housing crisis and address the shortcomings of this contract. I also know that many of my colleagues and comrades have discontinued participation with the union because of problematic and oftentimes racist and sexist behaviors. As a union, we need to be accountable for the anti-Blackness in our organizing spaces. We need to be accountable to Black, Brown, undocumented, and Indigenous student workers who we've marginalized. This needs to be addressed, and it's my priority. We also need to demonstrate to our members that we're a social justice union with teeth and that we can work and we will work for better conditions. We need a fresh start. Currently, the majority of people on the executive board supported this terrible contract. They want us to not only move on, but to celebrate these small victories. But most of us didn't just want more, we needed it. I talked with graduate students at our orientations, and many of them told me stories about how they were living in places like hotels. This is unacceptable. These problems are urgent, and we can't wait. That's why it's critical that you and your friends, colleagues, and comrades show up to vote on October 22nd and 23rd, next Monday and Tuesday. Vote for me, Veronica Hamilton, for recording secretary. Vote for Marcelo Mendez for Northern Vice President. Vote for Cory Mengual for trustee. We all advocated against this contract, and we all know that we need more from our union. Cast your ballot, then join AFSCME as they fight for better conditions. We all know we were ready to fight with them if we hadn't prematurely settled this contract. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you at the picket line.